It's time for some game time decisions. I'm Steven, that's Andrew, and that's Stefan. Ohio State facing Michigan State in its first Big Ten game of the 2024 season. These are the things we want to see that could decide the game, but in this situation, it's just more what we want to see as Ohio State continues to progress into a team that could potentially win a national championship in 2024. Andrew, what do you want to see from the Buckeyes?
We did a video about this the other day. We talked about this on the pod. I want to see if Ohio State stretches the ball down the field in the passing game, because I think this is the kind of first game that we're going to see what they think the offense is and what they think the offense can be. Now, I understand that they've had, 3 games before this, and I don't really think that they were going to hold anything back. You weren't really going to play anybody that could theoretically beat you through September. I mean, they're 24-point favorites over Michigan State. I don't necessarily – I'm not worried about Ohio State losing this game. But this is a ramp-up period now. Let's call it what it is. You got to play Michigan State on the road. You got to come back and play Iowa, who is a good defense. And then you got to go to Eugene, and you have that massive game against Oregon. So you have a 3-game buildup now. Whether you like it or not, Oregon is probably the toughest team on their schedule. Oregon is probably the toughest team that they are going to play. And, I mean, if it's Penn State or Michigan, we'll see. But this, to me, is when we're going to see Ohio State's offense fully firing. And we talked about this the other day right over there. We talked about this on the pod on Buckeye Talk. Is the downfield passing game a necessity for Ohio State's offense? I don't know the answer to that question, but I think we're going to know it on Saturday night, because I think if they stretch the field, we're going to get a really good idea. Okay, this is what they think they can do against Iowa and Oregon and Penn State and Michigan. And when they get into the playoff, like, this is what we think this offense can be. The first couple games of the year, guys were coming out in the second half. You didn't really see a fully formed kind of offense. I think we saw some things where the run game looked a little bit different, and we saw a lot of RPOs. I think you're going to continue to see that. I'm curious if that continues and if Will Howard is going to stretch the ball down the field to Jeremiah Smith, Mecca Egbuka, and all of his other talented receivers.
How dare you disrespect the Indiana Hoosiers like that?
All right. I will disrespect the Indiana Hoosiers from 2023. I will not disrespect the Indiana Hoosiers of 2024. I do not think they're going to beat Ohio State.
I don't think they're going to beat Ohio State either. I just said, how dare you disrespect them like that?
All right.
Steven just thinks they're better than Oregon.
I never said that either. Here's what I want to see from Ohio State.
Big Hoosier guy.
Here's what I want to see from Ohio State on Saturday. The defensive line didn't play great against Marshall, and it's very clear that the coaching staff didn't feel like they played great. What that meant in practice is what it meant in practice. We didn't see practice, so we don't actually know how hard things were the last 2 days. But what I do know is Jim Knowles got up there and seemed very irritated with his defense overall. There was no defensive player of the game. And so sometimes when that happens in sports, you can see an overcorrection, right? And all of a sudden you have a bad week, and now you have this extremely crazy week that's also not like the correct evaluation, but it's so extreme the other way because you're overcorrecting. And I'm wondering if we see that from this defense. I'm wondering if this defensive line comes out here. Andrew has an outrageous prediction. You should go check out that video. I'm wondering if we see this defensive line, especially that those tackles, come out with their hair on fire a little bit. If Tyleik Williams plays, does he look well rested after a week off? Do we see him playing with his hair on fire? Do we see a better Jack Sawyer, a better JT Tuimoloau? Do we see Caden Curry continue to build on what was one of the better games of his career, I think, which is he's not had a lot of opportunities, but I felt like he flashed a lot. Tywan Malone, can he build on what was clearly a good first step for him? Can we see a better Caden McDonald? Can we see a better Hero Canoe? Can we see a better Jason Moore? And on down the list there. They need to continue to build depth on the interior, and I think those defensive ends just need to play better. And so I'm wondering, up front, do we just see an overcorrection and they just kind of stifle Michigan State because they heard their coaches, how they talked about them publicly. And I know we got the PG version. They probably got the non-PG version at practice the last 2 days. And I'm trying to see how they respond to that. A defense that's supposed to be one of the best in the country, we think it could be one of the best historical defenses in the country, gave up 14 points to Marshall. How do you respond to that? Stefan, what do you want to see?
Yeah, this is more so something that maybe is going to be us learning anything new or something that could decide the game. I'm just excited to see Jeremiah Smith play against a Big Ten team. Like we've kept every time we talk about him, there's the caveat of, well, he's done it against these non-conference teams. Urban Meyer, when he was here for Big Noon Kickoff, was asked about Jeremiah and was like, yeah, he's looked like an NFL player, but he's done it against Akron and Western Michigan. Let's just get that out of the way. No more. He hasn't played a Big Ten opponent yet. We know the guy is legit. We know he's going to be a future NFL talent. We know he's going to put up – I mean, he's already putting up record-breaking numbers at Ohio State. Let's just get that out of the way. Let's see what he does against a Big Ten team. And I think, Michigan State might not be the best defense they face. It probably isn't even close to the best Big Ten team that they're going to face. But let's see him put up some good numbers and go against some more talented guys, more talented defensive backs, and see what he can do. I'm excited to see him in his first Big Ten game.
First Big Ten game for Ohio State, first Big Ten game for Jeremiah Smith, and the first chance to see this team against a team who, even if you don't think the talent is equated, to Andrew's point, they are starting to build a ramp up here as we are in the point of the schedule where it's Big Ten play and Big Ten play only for Ohio State. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that, and go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. For Andrew, for Stefan, I'm Steven. We out of here. See you after the game.